need to. Here." He beckoned me to the side and I skimmed the laminated notice fixed to the door. "Lighthouse for sale. £1. First offer gets it. No time wasters. Call 01947 482 704 to inquire." £1, I said to the man with a puzzled frown. "Oh, and it's Bobbie, by the way." I was hoping you'd tell me his name in return so I could stop thinking of him as the man. "I know," he said, bending to stash his hammer in a small toolbox on the ground. I cocked a quizzical eyebrow. "You know what?" "I know you're Bobbie." What?" Unless the extra year I'd added to my age that morning had just shoved me arse first into a full-on senior moment, I was pretty certain I'd never seen this bloke before in my life. Monty was tugging at his lead, keen to claim the rest of the walk, but I ignored him. My stomach gave a sudden lurch. Could there have been some drunken hookup I'd forgotten about? If so, it'd have to have been a long time ago. It was getting on for 9 months since I'd last seen any action in that department. I mean, yes, it was only 6 months since the big breakup, but that was a whole other story. The man straightened to face me. Now the blinding sun had disappeared behind the cloud, I could see him more clearly. The deep green eyes were flecked with silver, lightly sparkling as he squinted into the wind. And there was something in his face, a crinkle around the eyes, as if he was enjoying a private joke at someone else's expense. He reached up to push away the rusty brown hair that was whipping around his forehead. That face, it did seem familiar, a half-remembered smile. "Ross," I said, blinking. He grinned. "Knew you'd get there eventually." "Oh my God!" Impulsively, I threw my arms around him, a wave of pleasure sweeping through me. So it was Ross Mason, the boy in the band. What was he doing back here? I couldn't believe I hadn't recognised him, but then he'd beefed up a lot since sixth form. I released him from the hug and drank in the well-built frame, trying to match it up with the beanpole of a lad who'd sat next to me in English. Not that Ross hadn't always been good-looking in a cheeky, boyish way, but I never thought he'd grow up to be, well, buff was the only word for it. And there had been a hookup, hadn't there? My first kiss, school disco, year 9, slow dancing to Angels by Robbie Williams. We'd managed a fair amount of experimental tongue action and some hormone-fueled top-half groping by the time Mr. Madison dived in to separate us, then spent the next 2 weeks avoiding each other in embarrassment. He'd still had his braces in back then. Long time ago that it was. I could remember running a tentative tongue tip over the ridge, tasting them. That same moist metal flavour you get in your mouth before a rainstorm, made erotic through the thrill of inexperience. I wondered if he'd remembered. Phew, thanks," he said when I let him go, looking a double dose of windswept from the weather and the unexpected hug. I turned my face to one side to let the biting wind cool my suddenly overheated cheeks. Had that been a bit much after 10 years? Maybe should have gone with a polite handshake. "Sorry," I mumbled. "Didn't mean to launch myself at you. It's been a long time, that's all." "Don't apologise. It's not every day attractive women throw themselves into my arms. I wasn't about to start complaining." He nodded down at Monty. "Your friend doesn't look impressed, though." Monty had fixed him with a resentful doggy glare. He was still pulling at the lead, demanding to know why we couldn't ditch this joker and get off down the beach. "Yeah, he's a possessive little bugger." "What do you call the lad?" "Montgomery, but it's just Monty to his friends." "Oh." He reached down to tickle Monty's ears. "Hi, Montgomery." "So, when did you get back?" I asked. "Few months ago. I guess my mum told you about me and Claire splitting up a while back. Once we'd put our old flat in Sheffield on the market. Felt like a good time to make a clean break of it back in the old hometown." I fumbled in my grey matter, trying to remember what Molly Mason had said about Ross's life post-school in our various bus-stop chats. Proud mums always sent into nodding autopilot. Claire, that was the girlfriend, wasn't it? They'd lived together for years. Yeah, she did mention something. I'm sorry, Ross. I could sympathise. It didn't seem so very long ago I'd been marking CDs and crying into a pile of unpaired socks myself. A not-so-clean breakup with the emphasis.